Welcome to How to Get Between Parks at Disney World Without Using Disney's Transportation. So, there are 5 different ways that you can get around the parks that don't involve like the Disney buses or the monorail or the Skyliner or the boats. The first one would be driving yourself, whether you have your own car or a rental car. Once you've paid for parking at one park, you're covered for the next ones the rest of that same day. The only time this may be a problem is if you're going on like Christmas Day or New Year's Eve. The parking lots will fill up at pretty much all of the parks. So you may not be able to drive yourself if you're park hopping because you're not guaranteed a parking spot. They will defer you back to whatever park has parking available. And then from there, you would have to then take Disney's transportation to get you to the park that you want to go to, assuming that park is also not at capacity for people. So those are the only couple of days of the year that would be a problem. But other than that, once you've paid for parking, you can bounce around to all the different theme park parking lots throughout the day. Some things to keep in mind if you just aren't familiar with Disney World and have never really driven there, just some extra tidbits of information. There is a lot of signage to help you get from park to park, but I still recommend using a GPS anyway. There can be like a road closure or an accident, construction events, things like that will detour you to a different way, so then the signage might become confusing. So just always have that. Another thing too is that the My Disney Experience app will tell you where you parked so you won't lose your car. I also recommend like taking a picture. You can take a picture of like the signage if it's like near the pole, but also on the ground at the end of the aisle, they also have your row painted there as well. And if you're ever not sure, just ask one of the parking lot cast members or security. They have a sheet that tells them what rows were being parked at what time. So if you have a time frame of when you arrived, even if it's like within a whole hour, they can at least narrow down where you may have parked. Another option for getting around the parks or getting between parks would be rideshare services. So this would be Uber or Lyft. This could be beneficial if you are in a hurry or you have like a dining reservation to get to, and if you're like waiting on a bus, you don't know if that bus is going to be there in 2 minutes or 20 minutes. So this could help you get there faster if you're on a time crunch for something. They all do cost money though, so that's something to keep in mind, that I generally would only use it as like a worst case scenario type of thing or an emergency. Something that is a Disney service that does fall under rideshare would be the minivans. So they operate through Lyft, but these are actual Disney cast members. So these are vetted people and trained people. These all hold up to 6 people. You can get 2 car seats for free. They have ECV and wheelchair accessible minivans. The best time to use this, unless you need it for extra people, car seats, or an ECV or wheelchair, just your typical use, the best time to use it would be if you want to go from one park to Magic Kingdom, because this is the only service that can drop you off at the very front of Magic Kingdom. So the Disney buses and the Disney monorails drop off there, and so do the minivans. Everybody else has to drop you off at the Transportation and Ticket Center, and then you have to take either a ferry or the monorail into Magic Kingdom. So even if you drive yourself, you have to park out there. So that's one instance where it could be worth the money. If you're already going to be spending money to get from point A to point B, this is one of the best investments for sure. I do have a post all about using rideshare at Disney if you're curious about it. Here's what one of them looks like coming up to the Magic Kingdom entrance. Another option that you can sort of use is public transportation. There's a couple different things that you can do. So the Lynx bus system is Orlando's just like local bus system. They have stops at Disney Springs and the Transportation and Ticket Center, which is how you would get to Magic Kingdom. One thing though is that Disney Springs does not offer transportation to the theme parks because parking at Disney Springs is free. So if you were able to take a bus from like Disney Springs to Magic Kingdom, then there's no reason to pay to park at Magic Kingdom if you can park at Disney Springs for free and take the bus in. So if for whatever reason you are taking a Lynx bus from off property just to get into Disney, and you take the one that drops you off at Disney Springs, you will have to either, what I would do is walk next door to Saratoga Springs and just hop a bus to whatever park you want to go to from there. Or you can just hop on any bus at Disney Springs to take you to wherever, for first bus you see. And then from there, whatever resort you end up at, you can then take their bus or monorail or Skyliner or boat to whatever park you're trying to get to. The other option is if you're taking the Lynx bus to the Transportation and Ticket Center. From there, you can take a monorail directly into Magic Kingdom or directly over to Epcot. Anything else, you would have to take a bus to get to like Animal Kingdom or Hollywood Studios. Here's what the Transportation and Ticket Center looks like, and there's kind of this outer bus loop that the public bus transportation and other private systems that aren't Disney owned, they kind of have their own bus loop section separate from what Disney does. Another option is walking. There are a couple instances where you can walk to the parks. So Epcot and Hollywood Studios are a walkable distance. There is a pathway that goes the BoardWalk Resort. You have Epcot on one side, Hollywood Studios on the other, and the BoardWalk's in the middle. So you could take the Disney Skyliner or you could take the Disney boat, but if you didn't want to use Disney transportation, you could just walk. I would say it takes about 45 minutes for your average group. But if you are a fast walker or you maybe just don't have as many people in your group, you probably could do it in about 30 minutes. It really just depends. But that's an instance where there is a pathway that you can walk. There is signage to kind of help you figure it out. But there's really, other than once you're inside the BoardWalk Resort, like there is really only one way to go. So it would be kind of hard to get lost. Some other times that you could walk, you can't walk between any other parks, but there are some resorts that you can walk into Magic Kingdom. So like the Contemporary and Grand Floridian have pathways that you can walk straight in to Magic Kingdom. Another option is getting dropped off. So it's the same area where like rideshare services would pick you up. But if you just have someone like a friend or whatever, or someone in your group that they're not going into the park, but they are able to drive you. They do have a drop-off area. They don't have to pay for parking to do this. There is, because they go to a separate area and then will leave. So that would be an option as well. For Magic Kingdom, again, they would have to drop you off at the Transportation and Ticket Center. They cannot drop you off directly in front of Magic Kingdom. That is only for Disney transportation services to go up there. But that is an option as well. You'll see like rideshare and Lyft signs like this. They're different at every park. This one in particular is at Typhoon Lagoon, which is a water park, and the water parks are actually free to park at. So in this case, for the water park, they would just drive right up and drop you off. But the theme parks have much bigger parking lots, and they have cast members directing everyone where to go. So the signage becomes more important for those. Some frequently asked questions. So the fastest way to get from one park to another without using Disney transportation depends on what parks you're trying to go to. So if you want to go from Magic Kingdom to Epcot, the fastest way is going to be either taking rideshare or driving yourself, because again, you can't walk between these two and you can't take any public transportation between these two. So this is kind of your only option. For Epcot and Hollywood Studios, it would be faster to walk than it would be to drive yourself or get a rideshare. Animal Kingdom to anywhere, because it is just kind of off on its own. Rideshare or driving yourself is going to be the fastest, because again, there's not the public transportation and it's not walkable. With the water parks, if you're going between those, driving yourself is easiest. Parking is free. They're both at clear ends of Disney property, and there's no public systems to take you, and it's not walkable. So those would be kind of your best bets. Does Disney transportation cost money? Nothing costs money at Disney to take their transportation unless you're hiring a minivan. You don't have to be like staying at Disney. You don't have to have theme park tickets. Anybody that is at Disney can get on a Disney bus anytime that they want. The only time that this has ever not been the case is some peak capacity days, like on New Year's Eve. At Disney Springs, they were checking for room IDs to get people on buses because it was just so busy and so packed that they wanted to make sure the people paying money to stay on property could get to where they needed to go before everybody else. So that would be an extenuating circumstance, but 99% of the time, it's no questions asked. If you're there, you're there. Disney does not care. So yeah, if you were going to spend money on any Disney transportation, it would be the minivan because you're hiring a private rideshare service. Getting between the Disney parks without using Disney transportation is really easy. Really, the main thing, you're either going to drive yourself or get an Uber or a Lyft. Some of them you can walk. It's really easy to do pick up and drop off if you have, someone in the area. Public transportation can kind of get you on and off property, but it doesn't really pass you around between the parks. But it is an option if you are off property to at least get into Disney. I personally would just use Disney's free transportation 99% of the time, or driving myself. I really just don't spend extra money unless I have to. And here I do have a post on which is faster for getting around, whether driving yourself or taking Disney transportation, where I go through all the different scenarios where one would be quicker versus the other. Whereas this post kind of just talked about what your options are and a little bit about why you might choose one or the other.